Growing up, my life always seemed like an intricate puzzle, filled with moments that were both beautiful and chaotic. My parents were central to everything, anchoring me with their unique blend of support and tension. My dad, an engineer with a knack for solving problems, spent countless evenings tinkering in the garage, teaching me lessons that went beyond gears and bolts. Mom, on the other hand, had a strictness in her that I never quite understood. She set the rules, and I learned quickly how to navigate around them, shaping myself into someone who could meet high expectations yet remain true to my own path. It was during my high school years that things began to unravel. The balance I once trusted started to shift under the weight of secrets. Life at home became a delicate dance, each step taken with caution as my relationship with my parents evolved. Dad's unwavering support fueled my ambition, but Mom's complicated nature made trust an expensive currency. It was against this backdrop that a single day transformed everything, a day when loyalty, betrayal, and consequence collided. I'm Melinda Carson, but everyone calls me Linda. My dad, though, insists on calling me Keith. Don't ask why. Hold on a sec, I need to handle something. Quit it, Mom. If you don't stop crying right now, I'll have the doorman escort you out. This is supposed to be a happy occasion. Can't you see everyone else is smiling? I snapped at the woman sitting next to me. But this isn't right, she sobbed, looking for sympathy I wasn't offering. Mom, look around. The whole town is here enjoying themselves. You're the one responsible for all this, so deal with it and try to have fun, I said, keeping my voice low. I forced a smile and waved at a few people who had noticed our exchange. Most guests were focused on the back of the church. Anyway, as I was saying, my dad is the only one who can call me Keith. I've lost my train of thought now. Let me start from the beginning. About a year ago, I came home from school, trying to decide what to wear for the school's harvest dance. The Harvest Festival was the highlight of the year, a dinner and dance outdoors. Since we live in California, the weather is nice enough in October and November for outdoor events. It can get a bit chilly in the evening, but a light jacket or cape is enough. I needed the perfect outfit. Though I'm not a cheerleader, I'm well-liked, so I wanted to make a good impression. I wasn't worried about finding a date. I've been with the same guy since sophomore year. He's a preacher's kid with strong values, but we know how to have fun. My mom always said my goal was to stay pure until marriage, but I had other plans. I wanted Dean to wake up afraid, not exhausted. I'm known for my intellect and was in the National Honor Society all through high school. I kept a 4.0 GPA, except for my freshman year when I got a C in PE. I've never been athletic. That summer, my dad helped me get in shape. We ran together every morning, and by the time school started again, all those exercises that once seemed impossible were easy. I also noticed my body had changed. I was stronger and more coordinated. My figure became more toned, and I looked different in my uniform. Becky Thatcher, my best friend since childhood, was the first to notice. "What happened to you over the summer?" she asked. "Did you take supermodel classes or something? Do you have implants?" "No," I laughed. "Just spent time with Dad. And I got highlights in my hair." When school started, I could do 25 push-ups and felt great about it. During gym class, my PE teacher asked who I was after seeing me perform. Even Becky was impressed. "Linda, you did 25 push-ups," she said, wide-eyed. "I should have kept quiet while doing them," I joked. "You did push-ups like the guys," the teacher said. "No one came close to your score." I finished my squats, and the teacher told me to stop. "You only needed 50 for the max," he said. "Last year, I couldn't do a single pull-up. I had to settle for a hang, where you pull yourself up and hold your chin over the bar. They had to lift me into place, and I could only manage 2 seconds. This year, I went right after Milburn Drysdale, a big football player. Despite his size, he only did 11 pull-ups. I jumped on the bar and did 12. When I landed, I could hear a few surprised sighs. My dad had me do pull-up sets with a weight belt, rewarding me with donuts each time I beat my record. The second and third sets were the hardest, but after practicing with added weight, doing 12 without it felt easy. At the end of the gym class, everyone was talking about me. Guys who never noticed me before were suddenly giving me attention. Becky, my best friend, enjoyed it. We were still sitting with the same people, and I liked being around smart people. I don't think I changed much through high school, but others saw me differently by sophomore year. Last year, in my senior year, I came home early after my English class was canceled. As I walked through the house, I heard sounds coming from my parents' bedroom. I knocked on the door and told them I needed their help with something. When I opened the door, I found my mom hurriedly getting dressed and the principal of my school pulling up his pants. "You're a traitor!" I yelled at my mom. "And you, Mr. Eddington, my dad will fire you when this gets out." I slammed the door and ran out. My phone rang almost immediately. It was my mom, but I hung up and went to Becky's house, staying there until I knew my dad was home. When I got back, I saw his Mustang in the driveway, loud, shiny, and angry looking. I let myself in, and my dad greeted me with his usual hug. "Are you okay, kitten?" he asked. "It's been a rough day, Dad," I said. "You think you can trust people, but they turn out to be full of it." My mom turned pale at my words. "Melinda, she started. I gave her a sharp look. My dad didn't notice. "Dad, we need to talk," I said. "Sure, Keith, after dinner or now?" "After dinner, Daddy," I replied. My dad always had a way of making me feel safe. He was an automobile engineer and knew how to look at problems from different angles. He started talking about tuning his car while my mom and I prepared dinner. She grabbed my hand, but I yanked it away. "Don't touch me," I hissed. "Not after what I saw." "Melinda, I need to explain," she said. "Explain what? You've always put me down. You told me I couldn't do this or that. Dad believed in me. He always told me to go for it. You, on the other hand, always said I couldn't, whether it was running for prom queen or becoming a prosecutor. You just crushed my dreams." "Mom, watch your tone, young lady," she said. "I'm still my role model?" I asked. "I don't think so. Not when loyalty is in question. Dad deserves someone faithful, not this. Isn't this the same lecture you gave me about trust? If you can't uphold it, don't preach it." "But Melinda, I love your father. It was a mistake, just once. Please give me another chance. It won't happen again," she pleaded. "Mom, a mistake is an accident or a lapse. This was deliberate and probably not the first time. Bringing someone into Dad's bed isn't an accident. That man has a family too, with young kids. You didn't just make a mistake. You wrecked 2 families. Melinda, I'm so sorry," she said. "Please don't do this. It'll destroy your father and tear our family apart. You said it yourself. Why risk destroying 2 families? Call that man and quit your job. Find a new one if needed, but if you go back, I'll tell Dad. Hand over your phone. If he calls, I'll answer. I'll be checking phone records. From now on, don't talk to me. To me, you're gone. You died today. Convince Dad to sleep in the guest room and buy a new bed. Make up a reason like mold or bed bugs. I don't care how. Just do it. But Melinda, your father will notice if things change. You're in your senior year. Big events are coming. You'll need your mom," she said. "I'll find someone I trust to fill that role," I said coldly. I turned and took her purse, handing it to her. "Can I call him?" she asked. "No, I have your phone," I said. She handed me her phone and I said, "Call him at home so his wife answers. Let her hear you ask for him. Maybe then you'll grasp the damage you've done." "Do you have to speak like this?" she asked. "Yes, Teresa," I said. "You told me being a lady means acting appropriately for the situation. This is my appropriate response to a person with no morals or loyalty, and we're done talking. Once I leave for college, I'll only come back for Dad. I have one more thing to ask." She looked at me, defeated. "Whenever something important happens in my life, you should be unavailable. This means no graduation, no wedding, and no meeting my future children. Got it?" She nodded. "Call him." She picked up the home phone and dialed. "I need to quit. You'll need another secretary. I won't be back. Have my things sent to me, not by you, and don't call again or Melinda will tell my husband. Goodbye." "Well done," I said. "It hurts," she whispered. "What hurts?" I asked. "Ending things with your affair partner? Feeling that pit in your stomach?" "No, Melinda," she said softly. "I don't love him. I love your father. Russell was just—" "Enough," I interrupted. "If you loved Dad, this wouldn't have happened. Melinda, you're young. One day you'll understand," she said. "I hope I never see things your way," I said. "I'll never understand how a woman can betray a man who loves her. Do you even know half the rumors about Mr. Eddington? You're not the first. Not even the first from school. Just the most recent. He'll replace you in a week." I pocketed her phone and left the room. I headed to the garage, where Dad was tinkering with his Mustang, connecting his new tuner. Neighbors stood around, watching. When he saw me, he smiled. "Supper ready?" he asked. "Not yet, Dad," I said. "Take your time." My dad, despite being an adult, was innocent in many ways. He was content, always joking with neighbors, and I felt bad at the thought of taking that joy from him. He worked hard for our family, and Mom only started working a few years ago when I could manage on my own. She started as a volunteer at my school and eventually became Eddington's secretary. For Dad's sake, I kept quiet, even if it felt risky. The next school day began fine, but I was called to the principal's office during first period, and things changed. Eddington's office was empty. "Close the door, Melinda," he said. "I'd rather leave it open," I responded. "Can you cover it at least?" he asked. "Why?" "This conversation should be private. There's nothing to discuss," I said. "What about your future?" he continued. "If your GPA drops, your college choices might too." "How would that happen?" I asked. "Teachers could grade tougher," he said with a smirk. "And I bet you have a solution," I replied. He nodded. "What happened with your mom and me was a mistake. Let's not let it affect you." I slammed the door. "Who do you think you are? Some movie villain? This is the 21st century. I worked for my grades, and if they drop, I'll show my work to my teachers. Most respect me more than you. Plus, I have proof." I held up my phone with the recorded threat. He slumped. "Now I have proof of your attempt to intimidate me. Isn't that illegal?" I continued. "You're not just a womanizer, you're trying to threaten students. What scares you more, Russell? Losing your job or facing my dad?" "It's Mr. Eddington," he muttered. "Mr. implies respect, which you don't have," I said. "I already decided not to tell my dad or your wife. Think about that while I head back to class." In the hallway, I met my favorite teacher, Mrs. Abra. "Are you okay, Melinda?" she asked. Seeing her made everything clear. Mrs. Abra was admired by everyone. Boys stared at her, and girls felt overshadowed by her natural grace. She had effortless beauty, always outshining others. Her hair was a unique light brown that changed shades in the sun, naturally highlighted and eye-catching. It flowed gracefully to her waist, a look most paid to achieve. Her striking face matched her hair. Her deep blue eyes could distract anyone, especially when she taught math. Some boys said they lost focus in her gaze. Her small, delicate nose and light makeup enhanced her look, making her freckles charming when visible. Her mouth was annoyingly perfect, with naturally shaped lips and a flawless Cupid's bow. Bright white teeth and quick smiles lit up any room. Her petite frame made her 34C chest seem more noticeable, with a 23-inch waist highlighting her hips and toned legs from daily runs. Despite her looks, she had quirks. Teaching math and science, she often wore a lab coat, long skirts, buttoned blouses, and safety glasses, seemingly unaware of her appearance. She was genuinely kind, helping students with extra time and encouraging shy, bright ones. But she didn't tolerate nonsense, even from athletes once refusing to help a coach when a player's grade slipped. Years ago, a coach tried to win her over, so she avoided events he attended. Other teachers tried dating her but failed. Rumors suggested she preferred women, but Mom mentioned she was once married. Her maiden name was Troy, and her husband, a childhood friend, died in an army training accident involving falling shells. When I left Eddington's office, Mrs. Abra saw me. "Are you okay, Melinda?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am. He just frustrates me," I replied. "I understand," she said. "I didn't expect to see you there. Everything all right?" "Yes, but I need some advice. Woman to woman on style." "Oh, should we ask Mrs. Delacroix? She's an expert on Paris fashion." That showed how unaware she was of her own elegance. "No, I meant you, Mrs. Abra." "Me?" she said, surprised. "But you're more beautiful. I'm not sure I'd know where to start, but I could help with math any time." "Okay," she smiled. "I'll try, but I need your help too." "Anything, ma'am." "I'm struggling to get freshmen and sophomores interested in the nature hike. They prefer their screens. If you join, maybe more will sign up." I thought, she's clueless. All she'd need to do was make an announcement without her lab coat, and every guy would join. Once the guys came, the girls would follow. "I'll do more than tell people," I said. "I'll be there. Can I bring a friend?" "Of course," she said, smiling. "The more the better." Later, I got home and ran into Mom. "Hi, sweetheart," she said with a smile. I looked at her, confused. I was 18, yet she welcomed me with milk and cookies. "Hi, Teresa," I said coldly. "I thought we weren't speaking." "Melinda, this is silly," she said. "We're family. We should at least try to get along." "Have you ever heard you can't go home again?" I asked. She frowned. "What does that mean?" "People leave, succeed, and come back to find things have changed. What once seemed great isn't anymore," I explained with a small smile. "I still don't get it," she said. "You said I came from your womb, but after what I saw yesterday, I'd never go back. You have rules you don't follow yourself. I have nothing left to learn from you and no respect for you. We don't need to talk." "But we're family," she said. "We need to forgive each other. If you don't like my decision, we can tell Dad and let him decide," I said. "You betrayed him. What has Eddington done for you? Was he there when you were sick? Did he support you like Dad did? What made you betray him?" "Nothing," she whispered. "So if I tell Dad, you'll lose him and me too, right?" She nodded. "Teresa, just stop," I said firmly. "I can't believe the girl I raised is so unforgiving," she said, tearing up. "Stop crying," I said. "I'm Daddy's girl. If anyone else hurt him, I'd ruin their life. You got off easy. If this happens again, you're done." Later, as Dad and I prepared for a run, Mom asked to join. "You don't like running," I said. "I can ride your old bike," she suggested. "It has a flat tire," I replied. "But if you want to hear about school events and convince Dad to go, fine. We can also discuss yesterday." "Then I can't come," she said quickly. "I'm too out of shape." "I love you as you are," Dad said, kissing her. I almost rolled my eyes as Mom smiled at me triumphantly. Once Dad went to change, she turned to me. "See, Melinda? He's not hurt. He still loves me. I just needed a bit of excitement. It'll be exciting when he divorces you," I said with a smile. She sighed and walked away to clean. Dad and I ran and talked about work, the Mustang, and Mrs. Abra's trip. Dad agreed to join me and even suggested Mom come. I said I'd already asked, but she had plans. On Saturday, Dad and I grabbed breakfast, and as we finished, Mrs. Abra arrived in her new Pontiac GTO. Dad immediately checked out her car, admiring the details. "This is my dad," I said. "He's a car enthusiast." "Dad, meet my teacher," I called out. "Don't worry, your car's more powerful." Just then, a van with Coach Cleats and the team pulled up. "Hi," Dad said, shaking her hand shyly. "I'm Jim Carson, Keith's dad." "Elena," she replied, holding his hand a moment too long. "I wanted to ask you something," Dad began, but Coach Cleats interrupted. "Hello, Beauty," he said. "I brought the team to help." Cars kept arriving, and kids spilled out with their families. "I don't see how football helps," Mrs. Abra said. "I need water, soil, and plant samples. If they mess up, we'll need to redo it." "They'll be fine, Beauty," Coach Cleats said. "You and I can go look around together." "See you later, Elena," Dad said, moving away. "Elena, huh?" Coach Cleats said. "Let's get started." "It's Mrs. Abra," she corrected firmly. "I don't like being called pretty. We're not friends. Watch your players so they don't damage the plants. We're studying nature, not wrecking it." Cleats turned red and a player whispered, "Ooh, shut down." I followed Mrs. Abra, and the day went quickly as Dad and I gathered samples. She followed, asking questions and getting excited about our finds. They worked well together, though surrounded by others. Dad was often engaged by moms and kids, while men tried to talk to Mrs. Abra. By late afternoon, the bus came to collect the samples. Mrs. Abra thanked everyone as the crowd dispersed. Ready to leave, I noticed Eddington briefly appear, then drive off when he saw me with Dad. I also spotted Mom's car, unsure if she was there for him or me. "Jim," Mrs. Abra said as we got in the car, "thank you for helping today. You and Melinda were great. You were about to ask me something earlier, weren't you?" Dad looked embarrassed, and she smiled. "Come on, Dad, just invite her to dinner," I thought. "It's personal," Dad said awkwardly. "Jim, you spent the day helping me," she said. "Just ask." Dad paused. "I'd really love to check out the GTO's engine. It's a 5.7-liter V8, like the Corvette, but only makes 350 horsepower. My 5.0-liter Mustang has 462 horsepower. Why is that?" Mrs. Abra laughed. "I have no clue what you mean, but take a look." She smiled, lifting the hood. Dad examined it eagerly, with her standing beside him. Then Coach Cleats appeared. "What's wrong with your car, Mrs. Abra?" "Nothing," she said. "Do you need something?" "No, I'm free tonight," he said. "I can help. Maybe it's the carburetor." "This car doesn't have a carburetor," Dad pointed out. "Exactly," Cleet said. "I'll use starting fluid in the injector. Let me know if you need help." "Yes, I have your number," she said, sarcasm in her voice. Dad and I said our goodbyes and headed home. When we arrived, Mom hadn't made dinner. She looked uncertain and hugged Dad, glancing at me. I kept a neutral face. "Melinda, don't you have a date tonight?" she asked. "Dean and I went out last night. He's helping his dad clean the church tonight. We'll plan something for tomorrow," I said. Mom got defensive. "I wasn't trying to cause trouble. I just want you to enjoy yourself. It's your last school year, and next year you'll need to focus on law school. You deserve a break." "Mom, life isn't all fun. I had a great day with Dad and even helped my teacher. You're right, I'm leaving for college soon, so I want to make the most of our time. And you always told me that family comes first, to stand by your partner. Dean's parents are religious, so we go along with their plans. You taught me to put relationships first." She went pale at my reminder. "I like how you put that, Mom," I said. "Girls who juggle too much often end up alone." She looked shocked. "I didn't make dinner," she said, changing the topic. "Maybe we could just order pizza and watch TV." "Sounds good," I said. I pulled Dad out of the kitchen. "I'll order, Dad. You pick a movie." But no sad love stories. When Dad went to pick up the pizza, he started chatting about his Mustang with the delivery guy. Mom seized the moment. "It'd be nice if you'd give me some time alone with your dad," she said. "How can I make things right if you're always here?" "3 things," I said sharply. "First, get tested before you think about being close to him. Second, I saw you at the park with your friend. If I catch you talking to him, it's over. Third, I thought we weren't talking." Dad walked back in with the pizza. "I'll get drinks," he said, not sensing the tension. Mom patted my shoulder and smiled. He didn't notice anything. He was calm unless family or his car was involved. Once he was in the kitchen, we faced off again. "If you touch me again, you'll be divorced before you know it," I warned. "Melinda, I'm not your enemy. I know you and Dad planned for you to be a lawyer, but you treat me like a criminal," she said, trying to sound gentle. "Even criminals are innocent until proven guilty. Mom, you and Dad promised to be faithful, right?" I asked. "Yes," she muttered. "Didn't that mean trust and loyalty?" I pressed. "Yes," she said. "You broke it. I don't need proof. I saw it. True or false?" "Yes," she admitted. "Can't I fix it?" she pleaded. "When someone steals, they return what they took and apologize, don't they?" "That's not how it works, Mom. If someone robs a bank, returning the money doesn't stop them from going to jail. You can't fix this with an apology. I treated you better than you deserved. I should have told Dad everything. You could end up living with Grandma. You won't keep the house. Dad paid for it, and you're not even on the mortgage. Plus, since I'll be in college, the judge might let me stay here until I graduate. You're not getting away with this. I know exactly where you'll end up." I smirked. "Grandma's place won't be happy to hear what happened. Dad might cut child support and your share of school expenses. You can't afford it, especially after Eddington replaced you with a younger secretary. At 38, with no skills and debt piling up, you'd have to negotiate just to cover my school costs while you get nothing. Fair?" "No," she shouted. "I'd be broke. I don't have skills. I dropped out of college for you, and now you don't value me. One mistake and I lose everything?" "Mom, forgetting bleach is a mistake. What you did in Dad's bed is serious," I said coldly. Dad came in with drinks. A glass of wine for Mom and a soda and beer for me. He sat at one end of the couch, Mom in the middle and me on the other. I grabbed the remote, surprised Mom by giving her a hug, then squeezed in between them and put my feet up as we started the movie. Sunday morning, I reflected on my situation. It felt odd that, at 18, I was teaching my nearly 40-year-old mom about morals. Dad always protected me, and now it was my turn to protect him. I'd seen friends' parents go through divorces where the cheater suffered most. Danielle's mom got a house and support when her husband cheated, but became withdrawn and started drinking, while her dad moved on with a new family. The financial support didn't heal the emotional pain, leaving her mom stuck in a house full of bad memories. Maybe that's why I was so angry with Mom. I didn't want Dad to suffer like that. If their marriage ended, I needed to help him move on. My attempt to set him up with Miss Abra didn't work. He didn't notice her interest, and she was too shy to make a move. I needed someone more assertive. Then I thought of Danielle's mom, slim, pretty, and in need of a confidence boost. She could help Dad move on, and he could help her heal. I couldn't believe I hadn't thought of it sooner. Monday at school was busy. Mr. Eddington avoided me, though I tried to talk about seeing him at the park. I saw him with his new secretary, but he kept disappearing. During lunch, I ran into Miss Abra. "Hi, Melinda. What do you need?" she asked. "Help picking an outfit for the Harvest Festival dance," I said. She agreed, and I added, "You're beautiful. Guys go crazy for you." She mumbled something that made me pause. "I'd rather have your help than—" "Sorry for saying this, but that art teacher thinking she's a model?" she said, embarrassed. "It's okay. Can we talk more after school? Maybe you can help me pick an outfit and we'll chat," I suggested. She looked nervous but nodded, whispering, "It's a shame your dad doesn't see that." The rest of the day, I couldn't focus. At 3:30, I hurried to her lab where students were waiting to talk to her. After our Saturday walk, she had gained attention, especially from younger students. I realized how exhausting it must be to always have admirers. I also thought about her polite but firm way of handling Coach Cleats, who kept trying to act familiar, calling her baby. She shut him down every time. It reminded me how complex her life might be. Yet I noticed her interest in Dad, sharing her name and smiling as he checked out her car. "Melinda, are you okay?" she asked when I realized we were alone in the room. "Just thinking," I said. "You do that a lot, don't you?" She smiled. "It's why you're a good student." We got into her car. Nice ride, smooth and powerful. My dad would be nervous driving it if people didn't clear the way. "You don't drive his car?" she asked. "I do, but it's intimidating. It's like his other child. If traction control is off, it's scary. His old Mustang had a tough clutch. This one's automatic but fast, like it's on rails. I can't handle it at high speeds," I said. We arrived at my house, and she parked behind Mom's car. Upstairs, I showed her my outfits. "These are all nice, but it's about how you carry them. You'll look great in anything," she said. "Avoid these two unless you have a wrap." Mom walked in. "I didn't know you were home or had a guest." "Hello, Teresa," said Miss Abra. "Hi, haven't seen you in a week. Are you on a break?" Mom asked. "No, I quit," Mom said, glancing at me. "Would you like anything?" "No, thank you. We're heading out to eat," said Miss Abra. Mom shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't know you quit. We usually celebrate when someone leaves. I couldn't have worked with Russell as long as you did. He makes my skin crawl. You must have nerves of steel." She quickly left the room. We picked out the blue dress and then headed to Wendy's. As we sat down, she asked, "Why not ask your mom for help with your outfits?" "Let's talk about something more important," I said. "Can I ask you something serious?" She smiled. "Of course. You're going to be a great prosecutor. You know how to cut to the chase." I nodded. "I might be blunt, but it matters. Do you like my dad?" She choked on a fry and sipped her drink. "No, he's married," she said, flustered. I stayed silent, watching her as she fidgeted. "I promise this stays between us," I said. "Melinda, I'm 33. I was in love once and it ended badly. I moved back home and tried connecting with family, but things didn't work out. My late husband's brothers had their problems. One was abusive, another an obsessed, the last in prison. I'll never know what life would have been like if he came back from the army," she shared. "I react to most men like they're furniture. I know I'm attractive, but so are you. Can't you tell when someone genuinely likes you or just wants one thing?" I nodded. She was right. "I've always had to prove I'm more than my looks," she said. "In college, no one took me seriously. The only one who did. I married him. He was different, shy, and had unique taste in music. He surprised me every day, even when he called me ugly just to be funny." She smiled, recalling it. "He joked that I must be ugly if he wanted to marry me, just to keep a promise to his dad." She paused, eyes a bit distant. "Since he passed, no one's affected me like that. Until I met your dad. He's humble, kind, and genuinely cares. On Saturday, while other dads talked sports, he explored the woods with you, lighting up over leaves and insects. Men try to get my attention with cliches, but he's different. And yes, I am desperate to find the right partner, but I'm not pursuing a married man. Your dad seems more interested in my car anyway. I listened closely, feeling hopeful. She seemed relieved to share her feelings. I'll help you, I said. She froze, almost choking. I waited as she recovered. Melinda, he's married, she said. And Mom? I retorted. She's cheating on him. I caught her with Russell Eddington in Dad's bed. That's why she quit her job. I need to protect Dad, and he'll be devastated when he finds out. He deserves better, and you could be that person. He hasn't noticed you because he's faithful to someone who doesn't deserve him. We need to create opportunities for him to see you. I left feeling hopeful, like everything was finally coming together, until it started falling apart. Melinda, what are you doing? Mom demanded when I got home. I saw you at the park Saturday. I thought you'd tell your dad. You introduced him to that teacher and even brought her here. Picking clothes is my job, not hers. Did you know she likes girls? I laughed. No, she's just picky about men. Let me guess, Eddington told you that? What do you mean? She asked, interested. I shifted my approach. Remember when we talked about making things right with Dad? She nodded eagerly. Mom looked uneasy. I didn't know you quit. We usually throw a party when someone leaves. I couldn't have worked with Russell as long as you did. He makes my skin crawl. You must have nerves of steel. She left the room quickly. We picked out the blue dress and then went to Wendy's. While we ate, she asked, "Why not ask your mom for help with outfits?" Let's focus on the bigger issue, I said. Can I ask you something serious? Of course, she said, smiling. You'll make a great prosecutor. You go straight to the point. I nodded. I'll be direct. Do you like my dad? She choked on a fry and took a quick sip. No, he's married, she said, avoiding my eyes. I stayed silent, watching her. I promise this stays between us, I said. I'm 33 and haven't been in love since my husband passed. I came back home and tried reconnecting, but it didn't work. Most men don't interest me. I know I'm attractive, but so are you. You can tell when someone truly cares or just wants something, right? She asked. I nodded. I've worked hard to prove I'm more than my looks, she said. In college, people underestimated me, but my husband was different. He always surprised me. No one has had that impact since he passed, until I met your dad. He's kind, genuine, and not like the others who try impressing me. But I won't chase a married man, even if I do like him. I felt hopeful. She seemed relieved to talk. I'll help you, I said. She froze, almost choking. Melinda, he's married, she said. And Mom? I countered. She's cheating on him. I caught her with Eddington. That's why she quit. Dad deserves better and you're perfect for him. He hasn't noticed you because he's loyal to someone who doesn't deserve it. We need to create opportunities for him to see you. I left feeling optimistic until things took a turn. Melinda, what's going on? Mom confronted me. I saw you Saturday. You brought that teacher here. If you need help picking clothes, that's my job. Did you know she prefers women? I laughed. No, she's just selective with men. Did Eddington tell you that? What do you mean? She asked, curious. I changed my approach. Remember when we talked about how to make things right with Dad? She nodded, hopeful. Dad waved me over. I've got a problem, he said. Your mom thinks Helena is down because no one asks her out. She wants me to dance with her. How do I do that? You can do it, Dad, I said. Just be yourself. It's just a dance, not a proposal. The DJ started the song and people moved to the dance floor. Dean and I danced, but I kept glancing at Dad's table. A man asked Helena to dance as we returned. I'd love to, she said, but I'm already promised to someone who just hasn't asked yet. The man muttered, he must be clueless. Before she could respond, another song played and we heard an Irish voice singing. The light of day is fading. Time stands still with you. I'm waiting for you. Come on, Jim, it's our song, Helena said. Do we have a song? Dad asked. They took the floor and I smiled. Helena knew exactly what she was doing. Come on, leave me breathless, played as they danced. Dad looked unsure at first, but soon he smiled. Helena led him, pulling him closer as they danced and later sat, laughing together. She only had eyes for him, even when others tried to get her attention. 3 hours in, the mood shifted. Coach Cleats, drunk and angry, stormed over and demanded Helena dance with him. She refused. You're wrong, Coach, she said. I've been keeping him to myself. He's turned down every other woman. The coach glared, and Dad stood to defend her. Just because Eddington's with your wife doesn't mean you can interfere, the coach said. Before anyone reacted, Dad's fist met the coach's face, knocking him down. I was stunned. This wasn't part of the plan. Then 3 officers approached. "Are you James Carson?" one asked. "Yes," Dad replied. "We need you to come with us," the officer said. "Can I call my lawyer?" Dad asked. The officer looked puzzled. "We're not here about the fight. This is private property. Your wife was in a car accident. She wasn't driving, and the man with her is seriously injured." Helena took charge. "We'll follow you, Jim." I felt numb. Everything I'd tried to avoid was unraveling. Dean and Helena walked me out, everyone staring. Helena handed me her keys, saying I should follow her. She drove Dad's car, tires squealing. I kept thinking, why was Mom in that car when she should have been home? At the hospital, we were shown to a waiting room near the operating rooms. I worried about how this would affect my plans for Dad. Dean was his usual supportive self, but Helena's reaction surprised me. She was visibly upset. I hugged her, trying to reassure her. A woman with 2 kids greeted Helena, but she barely responded, eyes fixed on the door. I sat, considering how this might change everything. The worst-case scenario was this accident bringing my parents back together. The doctor emerged with Dad. Before I could react, Helena hugged him as he spoke with the doctor. Dad looked angry, struggling to stay composed. I moved closer and overheard. Her head hit the center console, and she may need reconstructive surgery if she survives. Another line stood out. The jaw closed and took a bite. I couldn't help it. I ran to the bathroom and laughed uncontrollably for 5 minutes before calming down and returning. Back in the waiting room, Dad and Helena were arguing. He was frustrated, wanting nothing to do with Mom. Helena urged him to handle it calmly and let the lawyers manage it so he wouldn't have to deal with her. "You need closure," she said. "Talk to her so you don't live with regrets." Dad didn't resist her this time. It was what I wanted. Dad moving on. But not in the way I planned. Helena told me to relax, stop drinking coffee, and take a break. She wanted me to come back in an hour to wait with her, reassuring me that Mom would still be in surgery. As I sat there, I realized that maybe I should just step back and let things unfold. Life had a way of working things out. He started, "And what's going on?" "We're here," she replied. "We can handle the paperwork or whatever needs to be done." I smiled at him as he glanced at me. He came over and gave me a tight hug. I moved to sit beside Helena. "Go ahead, Dad," I said. "Helena's right. Driving always calms you." As my father headed toward the door, a woman from across the room reached out and grabbed his sleeve. "I'm so sorry for your loss," she said with sympathy. My father nodded, but I could tell he wasn't really listening. Then I recognized her. It was Russell Eddington's wife. Helena spoke as soon as I sat down. "Melinda, I thought you were the mastermind, but your mother outsmarted us all. She fooled your father into thinking she was sick, so she skipped the dance. She told you she'd stay away so your father would dance with me, right?" I nodded, trying to follow her. "The call your father got at the dance came from her," Helena said. "I know," I replied. "I was happy she called. It got Dad to dance with you." "Don't be fooled," Helena warned. "She called him to make sure you two were at the dance so she could sneak away with Russell. They went to a motel this time since you caught them at home last time. She didn't know when you'd be home and didn't want to get caught again. Apparently, Russell lost control of the car and they crashed into a tree. The airbags deployed, and Russell only had one serious injury." "Okay, it's probably minor," I said, frustrated. "I can't believe she was planning to cheat again." "Melinda, Dad's right," Helena said. "We don't need her in our lives." "Maybe they can't do anything about it," a woman across the room said. "I don't understand," I replied. "But your husband, you're beautiful, and you have 2 adorable girls. Why would he cheat on you with her? Your mom's not the only one," she said, "but she may be the last." "Helena, he never cheated on you, right?" I asked. "Of course not," she answered, as if it were obvious. "But he tried, didn't he?" asked his wife. Helena nodded. "The only good thing about him is that he provides well. My girls and I need that. I planned to wait until they were older and then divorce him. Now everything might fall apart. Your dad will probably name Russell in the divorce, and your mom will likely sue him, costing him his job. I might need to get my share before it all falls apart. I'm sorry this has affected your family," she added. A thought struck me as she spoke. After a while, my father returned. Dean called his parents, said he was heading home, kissed me quickly, and said goodbye. My father sat beside me, and I moved to the other side, nudging him closer to Helena, who immediately took his hand. We chatted about anything but the accident for a long time, and eventually, I fell asleep. When I woke up, the nurse tapped my shoulder. I had dozed off with my head on my father's shoulder, and he was asleep too. Helena was in the same position on the other side, holding his arm tightly. "Can you wake them up and let them know she's awake?" the nurse said. "But she can only have visitors for a few minutes. Move quickly. With all the painkillers, she'll fall asleep again soon." I woke up my father and Helena, thinking about what the nurse had called them. My mother and father. It felt right. We took the elevator to the 5th floor. The nurse said we could go in one at a time for about 5 minutes. My father moved toward the door, but Helena grabbed his hand and pulled him back. "Jim, don't go in angry. She's just out of surgery and in a lot of pain. Now's not the time for more stress. Please just stop by and say hello." He clenched his fists, then relaxed and nodded. Helena was incredible. My father went in, returned 15 seconds later, and I went in. One side of her face was bandaged, and there were tubes in her arm. Her shoulder was wrapped, and she was in a frame to keep her spine straight. A metal halo was attached to her head, keeping her mouth closed until her jaw heals. Her eyes followed me as I moved around. "Hi, Mom," I said. "How are you feeling?" She made a sound that was somewhere between a grunt and a squeal. "I told you that if you cheated again, something bad would happen, but you didn't listen. You got what you deserved. And what you're getting is a scam, Mom. I'll tell you a secret. This was my plan all along. Since I caught you the first time, I've been looking for someone to take care of Dad when I go to college. Helena's perfect for him. I appreciate you helping me set them up. Looks like she can handle it." Her eyes widened, and it seemed like she was trying to speak, but the metal circle stopped her. It seemed even trying to move hurt her. "But you should be thankful to her," I said. "If it weren't for her, Dad wouldn't even be here." She glared at me. "Mom, don't be mad at me. It's not my fault. But I need to talk about it. Dad knows about you in Eddington, but I didn't tell him. He found out right before the police arrived. Except it wasn't the police, it was Coach Klitz. He was drunk, angry at Dad and Helena, and blurted it out. Dad knocked him out in front of the whole school, including his team. I started thinking, how could the coach know you were working with Eddington? The coach and director aren't exactly friends. Weren't you a coach too, Mom?" I looked at her and she couldn't meet my gaze. I shook my head. "What are you doing, Mom?" "Well, I guess my 5 minutes are up. I probably won't visit often, so goodbye." When I stepped outside, Dad took my hand. "Thanks for everything, Helena," he said. "I don't think I could have handled this without you. I've been thinking about what you said. It makes sense, but I'm just not sure I can do it. I still want to strangle her in Eddington." He paused, taking a deep breath. "Sorry if my problems ruined your evening. Let's go, Melinda. Time to go home." "Did you bring my car here?" I asked. Helena nodded. "I drove her car, remember? She gave you the keys." "Do you still have my keys, Melinda?" Helena asked. I nodded. "Okay, see you at home." At home, I changed into comfy clothes and went to bed. I could hear their conversation even as I drifted off to sleep. The next morning, I showered and went downstairs to grab breakfast. Dad was asleep on the sofa, and I heard sounds from the kitchen. Helena was cooking, bacon in one pan and pancakes in another. What caught my attention was her outfit. She was wearing Dad's U of M t-shirt, no pants and probably underwear, but I couldn't be sure. "I borrowed a couple of things," she said. "I didn't want to wake you. I can't fit any of your mom's stuff." That explained the underwear situation. "Why not borrow jeans or a skirt?" I asked. She raised an eyebrow, and I realized she wanted Dad to see her in his favorite things. "We talked all night," she said. "He's really upset. We need to help him through this. Last night I told him everything about me. I think he's a little upset with me." "Why would he be upset with you?" I asked. "Because I had to be honest with him," she replied. "No secrets between us. I told him I went to the dance for a reason. I've been kind of stalking him since we met while I was out hunting specimens in the forest. I think he sees me like your mom, like someone who'd go after a married man. To show him I'm not like that, I had to admit you were the one who told me he was probably available. That convinced me. Helena wasn't just with Dad. She was with us. "Don't worry, Helena," I said. "Everything will be okay after breakfast." She nodded and kept cooking. I took over with the bacon. I'm terrible at making pancakes. After breakfast, Helena borrowed a pair of my sweatpants to match Dad's sweatshirt. She packed lunch, and despite Dad's complaints, she took us out for a picnic. We ended up in the forest at the same spot where we had hunted for specimens. We talked the whole time. I confessed everything, and Helena told Dad she loved him. The saddest part was that Dad was still angry, but he couldn't get over what Mom had done. Several times he mentioned how beautiful Helena was and even said, "I'd be crazy about you if it weren't for..." And we all knew what he meant. Helena asked about Dean, and I reminded her it was Sunday, so he'd be at church until noon. On the way home, we got a call from the hospital. Mom had woken up and wanted to see Dad. He gave the nurse his grandmother's phone number, and we went to pick up Helena's clothes before heading there. "How long are you staying?" Dad asked. She raised an eyebrow again. We spent the rest of the day watching movies and relaxing. Dean joined us after church. We laughed and enjoyed each other's company. I noticed Helena stayed close to Dad the whole time. The next day, reality set in. I had assignments to turn in and a test to take. People stared at me all day. The guys from the team kept laughing and calling me Pooh. They even pretended to strike me. I found out by lunch that no one knew the full story about what happened at the dance. Not many heard what Coach Klitz had said to Dad, but everyone saw the aftermath. What was odd was that no one mentioned it until that morning. Coach Klitz was in the hospital too. He broke his tailbone when Dad knocked him down. The assistant coach took over the training. At the end of the day, we were called into a meeting. The deputy director told us that Principal Eddington had been in an accident over the weekend and would be in the hospital soon. She said we'd continue working as usual because that's what he would have wanted and urged us to keep him in our prayers. I was glad I hadn't been praying. When asked how long he'd be gone, she didn't know, but said he'd return as soon as possible. Someone also asked about his injuries, which made me laugh. I got home and started looking through the fridge. I had dinner planned since Dad wouldn't be home for another 90 minutes. But then, I was surprised when I heard a car pull up and a knock at the door. It was Helena. I stepped aside as she entered and went straight to the kitchen. "What are you making?" she asked. "Burgers," I said, smiling. "I'll cook them. Dad can fry them when he gets back from his run." "He's running?" she asked. I nodded. "What about the side dish?" she asked. "How about a big salad?" she suggested. "We'll throw in whatever we can find, and if you don't like it, just don't put it on the plate." "That sounds good," I said. We chopped up veggies and made the salad together. "Do you think Dad would mind if I ran away with him?" she asked. "I think he'd like it," I said. And she smiled. When Dad came home, Helena was waiting for him in workout clothes, looking great. After they showered, we had dinner together. We avoided talking about the obvious issues. Helena casually mentioned her car had been making strange noises. After dinner, Dad worked on his car in the garage while Helena looked over her papers beside him. My grandmother called and came over. She asked why Dad hadn't visited Mom at the hospital. She seemed surprised when Dad explained everything that had happened. After hearing the details, she apologized to him and left, still in shock. A week later, we went to the Harvest Festival dance. I went with Dean, and Dad went with Helena. She looked stunning, and everyone could tell they were a couple. No one asked her to dance, mainly because she stayed close to Dad all night, even holding his hand while they ate. People were still talking about the coach incident, and I overheard some guys saying they didn't want to get knocked out by Dad. It was a great night, though. Helena came out of her shell and showed everyone her charm and humor. She didn't have to worry about guys hitting on her when Dad was around. Her smile and energy seemed to triple when he was near. Afterward, she stopped hiding behind lab coats and glasses, but she still waited for Dad at home every night, and sometimes visited him at work. Their bond grew stronger each day. Dad and Helena offered to take me to the hospital if I wanted, and Dad even said I could use either Mom's car or the Jeep. As for Helena, they were rarely apart, only when at work or sleeping. Their relationship felt innocent, like high school romance. I never saw them kiss. I knew Helena cared about Dad, but I wasn't sure how he felt about her, until one evening when she wasn't home. He didn't ask about her, but I could see him looking around the house and outside, like he was waiting for her. I secretly filmed him as he kept checking the windows. When she finally came home, he pretended everything was normal. "Oh, hey," he said, heading to the garage. Helena glanced at me. "What did I do?" she asked. I explained. "Why didn't you tell him we had a conference today?" she asked. "Because it's time," I said. "Time for what?" she asked. "Helena, Dad is stuck. It's time for him to face reality. He hasn't even thought about Mom in over a month, and we haven't visited her once. I'll take you to see her if you want," she offered. "I don't want to see her," I said. "Maybe he doesn't either," she said, her tone serious. I could tell she was ready to fight for Dad. "Calm down, Helena, but we both know he needs to start the divorce process. He can't just ignore her. She texts me daily, and I'm sure she's texting him too. As soon as she can talk, she'll start calling. And then there's you two," I said. "What's wrong with us?" she asked, her cheeks red with embarrassment. "Elena, he really loves you," I said. "You know that." "Well, I love him more than just that," she replied. "That's the problem," I said. "But he's too afraid to admit he feels the same." "How can we know for sure?" she asked. "Maybe he just sees me as a family friend." I showed her the video I had taken of Dad walking around the house, peeking into rooms, and looking out the window. "What was he looking for?" She smiled. "You, Elena," I said with a grin. "He doesn't want to admit it, but he missed you. It's time for him to stop pretending." She paused, then said, "Hold that thought." She walked to the kitchen and out to the garage, where Dad was working on his car. I didn't know what he was always doing to it, but he was bent over, talking to her when she tapped him on the shoulder. He stood up and she pulled him in for a kiss. At first he froze, but then he wrapped his arms around her, and they kissed back. Watching them made me wish Dean and I weren't so strict about our vows. I almost couldn't stand it. The next day, Principal Eddington returned, and the coach came back a week later, moving slowly and hunched over. Eddington hardly left his office, now staffed with his wife, who greeted me with a smile each time I passed. She seemed to care, asking about my father and how he was holding up. Everyone seemed to be waiting to see what Dad would do next. Eddington even asked about him. I told him it would be another week before Mom could talk again. My grandmother often called, pushing for us to visit her, but it felt like everything was on hold until Dad made his move. If Dad mentioned Eddington in the divorce, Eddington's career would be finished. Coach Klitz stayed away from Helena, clearly afraid of Dad's reaction. He wrote her a letter apologizing for his behavior and promising to leave her alone. It was obvious that his tough guy image had taken a hit, and his players laughed at him behind his back. Helena and Dad were in a holding pattern too. She lived with us, but they didn't sleep together. Still, I often found them cuddled up together on the couch, fully clothed but clearly close. Finally, the tension broke. I picked up the phone and heard Mom's voice. "Hey, Melinda, is your dad around?" I handed the phone to Dad, who straightened and his whole demeanor changed. After the brief call, he smiled nervously at Helena. "I don't think there's any point in waiting anymore. Let the battle begin." The next day, he went to see her. He later told me that when he walked into her room, she was sitting up, looking thinner and wearing makeup to cover her bruises. She was still aggressive, but it didn't work. "James, I'm sad you never came to visit," she said. "How can we fix our marriage if we don't talk?" She even suggested family therapy with a therapist at the hospital. Dad didn't respond. He simply placed a stack of papers on her bed. She stared at them and started to cry. "No," she said. "We can't do this." Dad's response was cold. "Talk to me about why you did this to us. Tell me about how our daughter caught you with that idiot in our bed. Tell me how I had to pick up the pieces after finding out. Speak, Teresa." She whined. "I'm sorry. We have to get through this. I swear I'll never do this again." "You said the same thing to Melinda," Dad said. "There's nothing more to say. Get yourself a lawyer." The next day, my mom was served with divorce papers in her hospital room. A young woman handed them to her, and my mom simply extended her hand. The battle had begun. Over the next few weeks, things got messy. Mom refused to agree to the divorce and made counter-accusations, claiming Dad had moved his mistress into the house. This, of course, was technically true. Helena felt guilty, and the day after the allegations came out, she returned to her apartment. Dad brought her back, telling her her place was with us. The fighting continued for weeks, and I couldn't take it anymore. I asked Dad when his next meeting with Mom's lawyers was. He told me the next day, so I went to visit Mom. I told her she had lost Dad for good. There was no chance of reconciliation. The best she could do was stay civil. The back and forth had gone on long enough. Even the Pope withdrew his original offer, and now Dad just wanted to tell her, "Get out of my house." Dad wanted full custody of me, the house, and to be free from Mom's interference. He refused to pay her any compensation for destroying his life and planned to sue Eddington for everything he could. I set up a meeting with Mr. Eddington and his wife. At the table, Dad and Elena sat on one end, while Mom and her lawyers were on the other side. I presented my plan. Eddington would pay Mom child support for 4 years and rehire her as his secretary. This would allow her to go back to college and gain skills for when the support runs out. Dad would keep the house, and Mom would rent Elena's apartment and keep her car. In exchange, Dad agreed not to sue or mention Eddington in the divorce, and Mom wouldn't press any false claims. Eddington agreed. His wife seemed relieved, complimenting me and saying I'd make a great lawyer. It was a good deal for them, expensive, but not as costly as lawsuits. However, neither Dad nor Mom seemed convinced. "It doesn't feel right," Dad said. "They've ruined my life, and now they walk away without consequences." Mom added, "I'm not giving up on my family. I admit I was wrong, but I had no choice. Eddington was my boss. I could have lost my job." I snapped, "Mom, you need to accept this deal. If I testify, your case will fail. You were no longer working for Eddington when the accident happened, so no coercion. And if you keep pushing, I'll have Dad drop you from his health insurance. Without that, you won't be able to afford to fix your face. You threw away your family for Eddington, and now you don't deserve us. You need to stop causing Dad more pain. Let him go." Turning to my father, I added, "Dad, you're right. You've suffered, but look beyond that. Eddington and Mom are paying in their own ways. Eddington lost a part of his anatomy in an unsuccessful surgery. He's also paying child support. Is that not enough? If you ruin his career, you'll also hurt his children who did nothing to you. His wife hates him, and he has to face her every day. Mom suffers too. She's lost everything. Her home, her job, and possibly even her dignity. It won't be easy for her." Mom started crying, and I said, "Dad, this is better for you too. You're getting rid of someone you can never trust again. You can move on with your life and never see her again. And you get Elena, the most wonderful woman I know." Dad smiled and hugged Elena. "Why are you hugging her? I was talking about myself," I teased. "Very funny, Keith," Elena laughed. Dad finally agreed. Mom nodded, though she cried again. The lawyers began finalizing everything, and the deal was set. It was unusual, but both sides agreed. 3 days later, the papers were signed. Mom came with my grandmother, and Dad was with Elena and me. After signing, Mom asked Dad for a last kiss, but Elena stepped in to stop her. A week later, Elena asked me for help, money, and the keys to her car, to take Becky and Dean to the movies. I realized she wanted time alone with Dad. I laughed and teased her, saying, "Don't worry, I get it." They hadn't yet, and I was surprised, but I left them to it. The next morning, they both looked extremely happy. Months later, I stood at their wedding, playing the dual role of bridesmaid and maid of honor. My mom was there too, but she wouldn't stop talking. I wasn't sure why they invited her. Maybe they wanted to rub it in her face. I whispered in her ear before she could speak during the ceremony, "Mom, if you open your mouth, I will slap you here in this church." And so, they lived happily ever after.